There are stories the world sings along to, and then there are the ones buried beneath the melody. This is one of those stories. Because behind a voice that comforted millions, there was a silence that slowly destroyed her. And the person who heard that silence the loudest was the one who loved her most. For years, her brother carried what he couldn't say out loud. Not on stage, not in interviews, not even to himself. But now, the truth is impossible to ignore. Because this wasn't just a story about fame. It was a story about a girl who was never told she was enough. She was born into a house where talent had already chosen its favorite. Her older brother was the miracle, the prodigy, the one everyone watched. He could hear music in ways others couldn't. He created it before most kids could even read it. And their mother made sure the world knew it. Every small success of his was celebrated, written down, shared, remembered. But for her, things were different. She wasn't the star. She was the background noise. While he practiced on a beautiful piano, she found rhythm in whatever she could touch. Pots, tables, anything. But no one clapped for that. And somewhere in those early years, something quiet and painful began to grow inside her. A need to be seen. A need to be loved the same way. When the family moved across the country chasing a dream that wasn't hers, she followed. Just a teenager. Out of place. Shy. Trying to fit into a world that didn't feel like home. But then something unexpected happened. A moment so small, it could have been missed. She sat behind a drum kit, and everything changed. Within minutes, it was clear. This wasn't random. This wasn't luck. She had something rare. Rhythm came to her like breathing. Natural, effortless, powerful. But even then, the applause she needed most never came. She once wrote something in private that said everything. Her brother was seen as a genius, and she was just noise. But her brother didn't see her that way. Not even close. He saw something extraordinary. Something the rest of the world hadn't fully heard yet. And when she finally began to sing, everything shifted. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. It didn't need to be. It was soft, warm, almost fragile. The kind of voice that didn't demand attention, but quietly held it. Together, they started building something. Slowly at first. A group. Small performances. Missed opportunities. Doors closed. Labels said no. They were too different. Too soft. Not what people wanted. But then came a recording. A simple song, done their way. And suddenly, someone important listened. Really listened. That moment changed everything. Almost overnight, they went from being overlooked to being everywhere. Their music filled homes, cars, weddings. Her voice became something people held on to. It felt like a dream. But dreams, especially the fast ones, can hide cracks you don't see until it's too late. Because while the world was falling in love with her voice, she was quietly losing herself. She never wanted to be in the spotlight like that. She felt safe behind her drums. Hidden, protected. But the world wanted to see her. So she stepped forward. And with every step, the pressure grew heavier. Perfection became the expectation. Not just from fans, but from inside her own home. Her brother, brilliant but exacting, pushed for flawless performances. Her mother still reserved her admiration. No matter how much success came, it never quite filled the space she had been carrying since childhood. And that emptiness started to show. At first, it was subtle. A little weight loss. A little fatigue. But then it became impossible to ignore. On stage, people noticed. Whispers spread. Concern grew. But no one fully understood what was happening. Not yet. What she was battling didn't have a name people recognized back then. It wasn't talked about. It wasn't understood. And because of that, it went untreated for far too long. Still, she kept going. Concert after concert. Recording after recording. Smiling when she had to. Singing when she could barely stand. And if this story is already hitting you, take a second. Because stories like this matter. If it's moving you, share it with someone who might need to hear it too. Because sometimes, the quiet struggles are the most important ones to understand. As the years passed, her health declined even more. But something inside her still held on. A desire to break free. To create something of her own. For the first time, she stepped away and tried to build a different version of herself. New sounds. New energy. A new identity. People who heard it were amazed. They said it was her strongest work yet. Confident. Bold. Alive. For a moment, it looked like she might finally step out of the shadow she had lived in for so long. But when the music was brought back home, it was rejected, dismissed, shelved. And just like that, The door she had tried so hard to open slammed shut. That rejection didn't just hurt her career. It broke something deeper. Around the same time, she believed she had found love. Someone who could give her a life away from the spotlight. A future she had always dreamed of. But that dream quickly unraveled. The truth about the man she trusted came out too late. Promises weren't real. Intentions weren't honest. And instead of support, she found herself more alone than ever. The relationship became another weight. Another voice tearing her down. By then, her body was already fragile. Her heart, even more so. She tried to get help. She tried to fight back. But recovery isn't instant. And she didn't have time on her side. In her final months, something almost hopeful appeared. She smiled more, spoke about the future, even joked again. For a moment, it felt like she might finally be coming back. Her brother believed it too. They talked about plans, about music, about starting again. But sometimes, the body carries damage the world can't see. And one morning, everything stopped. Just like that. She was gone. Only in her early 30s. The voice that had comforted millions. Silenced forever. The truth, when it came out, shocked people. Not because it was unbelievable, but because it had been there all along. Hidden in plain sight. For her brother, the loss was something words could never fully hold. He had been there from the beginning. From the first note, to the final goodbye. He saw the signs. But like so many others, didn't know how to stop what was happening. That realization stayed with him. Not as guilt alone, but as a kind of quiet grief that never really leaves. He spent years preserving what they created, making sure her voice would never fade. And in time, the music she once fought to release finally found its way into the world. A glimpse of who she could have become, of the life she never got to fully live. Today, her voice still feels the same. Warm, honest, timeless. But now, when people listen, there's something deeper behind it. A story not just of beauty, but of pain. Of a girl who gave everything to be heard, while quietly wishing someone would truly see her. And maybe that's why her music still lingers. Because it wasn't just sound. It was feeling. It was truth, hidden inside melody. If this story stayed with you, take a moment before you move on. Like the video. Share it with someone. And if you want to hear more stories like this, subscribe and stay with us. Because sometimes, the most important stories are the ones behind the songs we thought we already understood.